A teacher and a mother lost their life in the St. Louis high school shooting this past Monday. The family is grieving their loss as they hold her memorial.
A new poll shows what voters are really concerned about this upcoming election season.
And in an attempt to remove a gator from his property, a Florida man suffers from a nasty bite.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thank you for joining us on ntTV News at Noon. I'm Leslie Juarez.
And I'm Chris Goodwin.
Loved ones of school teacher Jean Kuchka determined to continue her legacy after she was killed in the Central Visual and Performing Arts High School shooting this past Monday. CNN's Laura Barkoski has more details on this story.
Teacher, mom, friend, advocate, cyclist. These are the words used to describe Jean Kuchka, who was shot and killed while trying to save her students at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School.
My mom was very family-oriented, and that same type of environment was instilled in her classroom. And my mom played field hockey in high school, and so she was always a leader.
Jean was a role model. Jean, as a teacher, she used her writing as a way to raise awareness for type 1 diabetes.
Jean's daughter, Abby Kuchka, says it means a lot to know her mom truly made a difference for thousands of students over her 38-year teaching career.
It brings a peace of mind to know the impact that she left on this world, and truly we didn't even know the impact that she had on all of these students.
And outside the classroom, former JDRF CEO Derek Rapp says she rode her bike hundreds of miles for her son Joe, who has diabetes, and raised $50,000 and counting for type 1 diabetes research. The JDRF Ride to Cure Diabetes was in just a few weeks.
This was going to be her 16th ride for JDRF over all these years. And I will miss her terribly when we're doing that ride, because we're going to be doing the ride together this year again.
Abby says she's so thankful for the adventures she shared with her mom and will never forget her love for her family and students, a love she displayed with every last breath.
When I first heard about the shooting, I had no idea it was my mom, but I know she let herself in front of the gunfire to save those kids. That was her passion. My mom's a hero.
Rapp says his next ride for the JDRF will be in silence to honor Jean.
And now, following up on new developments of the story of Brittany Griner, a U.S. basketball star who is being held under custody of Russian courts after Russian police discovered cannabis oil in her possession. The appeal for her 9-year prison sentence was overturned yesterday by the Russian court, and White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre spoke in a White House press briefing about Griner. Here's what she had to say.
I also want to address the latest developments with respect to Brittany Griner. Our hearts are with Brittany Griner, her wife and her family, friends and teammates in light of the appalling news out of Russia today. This news only increases the urgency of our efforts to bring Brittany home. The Biden administration remains in regular touch with representatives from Brittany's family, and as National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said this morning, the administration has continued to engage Russia through multiple channels in recent weeks to urge them to respond to our efforts to negotiate a resolution to this.
Brittany Griner is not the only person in prison in Russia. Another American, Paul Whelan, was wrongfully detained for 4 years in a Moscow prison hospital. A spokesperson for the U.S. Department of State shared that there may be progress in the release of these individuals.
I can say there have been active discussions, including in recent days, but our imperative is to see Paul Whelan and Brittany Griner returned home. We are not going to do anything, to say anything publicly that could impair that ability.
I don't know about you, Chris, but when I woke up this morning, I could barely get out of bed because of how cold it was.
Yeah, this cold front really snuck up on us the past couple of days, but I love it. I hope the weather is cooler and is here to stay. Our weather anchor, Peter Rabel, has more on the tape on that, Peter.
Thanks so much, guys. I know I felt that too when I woke up this morning. I was, laying in bed. I did not want to get up, but it's getting a little bit warmer out today. We're looking at about 65 right now, but with the wind, it feels like with the 7-mile-an-hour wind, it feels like about 64. Heading into tonight, though, it is going to get a lot more cool down. It's going to be about 51. It's going to feel like 50 with that wind staying. It's not too bad a wind, 8 miles an hour, but it is still here. It's keeping things feeling a little bit colder than they actually are. And then headed into tomorrow, the weather's actually going to be kind of nice. We're going to be having, it's going to feel exactly like 69. It's going to be a great time out. It's going to be 8-mile-an-hour wind, but it will be getting kind of cloudy as we head into the evening as the rain front comes in that's coming up. But more on that later. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Peter, for that first look. Social media apps, Facebook and TikTok are allowing advertisements with false election information. That's according to human rights groups Global Witness and the Cybersecurity for Democracy teams, which is based out of New York University. The organizations say the sites have released 20 false ads about the midterm elections. The group says the ads it puts out, it falsely stated voting days would be extended, as well as other misinformation to discourage voters from turning out. The group says Facebook approved a significant number of these ads and TikTok approved around 90%. Researchers then withdrew the ads before they could be shown to the users. TikTok claims it has taken steps recently to safeguard political content, and a spokesperson for Facebook responded to the results saying the tests are, quote, not representative given the number of political ads we review across the world.
Recent polls reveal concerns among voters on possible recession rise, but bankers feel different to this public worry. Amy Kiley, CNN, has comments from voters and bankers alike.
And sometimes I only eat one meal a day.
Recent polls show inflation and the economy are the biggest issues among voters. But some of the nation's top bankers say they're worried about something else.
Everything is going up except our income.
A new report indicates consumer confidence is the lowest it's been since July, and the conference board says inflation is the main reason for the drop.
I'm taking maybe a week to 2 longer between haircuts.
Higher prices are forcing some people to curb their spending. If enough Americans do that, financial experts say the whole economy could slow down.
I think the economy is likely sometime in the next year and a half to go into recession.
Plenty of people who run the nation's financial sector think that too.
Economic conditions are going to tighten meaningfully from here.
Remember what the 2008 recession was like for some businesses in that industry?
These are stunning developments. 2 of Wall Street's iconic names, Lehman Brothers and Merrill Lynch, falling on the same day.
But some top bankers and investors say inflation and a possible recession are not their biggest concerns. A group of them has been meeting in Saudi Arabia this week.
We'll manage right through that. I would worry much more about the geopolitics of the world today.
Specifically,
there's an existential risk of war, international war.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Even among voters, plans regarding the recession issue is starkly contrast on calmness with regards to voting. President Joe Biden visited the Democratic National Convention headquarters this past Monday to give a pep rally of support to the midterm election draws near than less than 2 weeks until Election Day.
Are lowering your everyday costs like prescription drugs, healthcare premiums, energy bills, and gas prices. Folks, Republicans have made it clear, at least they're being honest around this time. They're telling you exactly what they want to do if they win. They're going to increase everyday cost.
The president has stepped up his push for the Democratic Party, advocating for the Democratic nominees, and discussed the stark contrast of the two parties, highlighting the downfalls of the Republican Party and what problems he believes that may bring to the country if they win. President Biden pardoned federal marijuana possession convictions earlier this month, but legal officials say that charges tend to be overwhelmingly filed at the state level, which still leaves a large disproportionate number of minorities arrested and convicted. This greatly affects their futures as well as their families, especially in Texas. Over 21,000 people were arrested in Texas, with 97% of possession arrests being related to marijuana and 265 current inmates in state jails for the offense. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has weighed in his thoughts and recently reaffirmed previous claims that he believes marijuana should be decriminalized to a Class C demeanor.
As for some good news here in Denton County, food pantries in need of some fresh fruit and vegetables will continue to receive government relief funding.
You've heard of the Florida Man. Well, guess what? We have another Florida Man story for you. As it turns out, gators have a taste for human flesh. The story is coming up. Stick with us.
Hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
UNT is more than 125 years in the making. To find new solutions, we create a new point of view. We know what's possible when creativity, originality, and independent thought converge. We're ranked a Tier 1 research university. We're home to excellence the size of Texas. Define your future at UNT and soar to new heights.
It's that time of year where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
At a time when misinformation is all too common on social media, we take great pride in bringing you the news that matters, that impacts your family, news you can trust. Local broadcast journalists bring you the facts, covering the stories breaking in our community and across the globe. Text TV to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on local journalism. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
The Biden administration is trying to make trips to school a little more healthy for the environment. This morning, President Kamala Harris announced a refund for school districts across all 50 states that buy new school buses, which are mostly electric. The funding is part of the bipartisan infrastructure law President Joe Biden signed last year. This will support the purchase of nearly 2,500 electric and low-emission vehicles to districts nationwide. In 12 states such as South Dakota, Kentucky, and Ohio, the electric buses will be the first ever on the ground. Areas will also be given funds to build charging stations, but local officials will determine exactly how the money will be spent.
The vote to extend Feeding Denton County program to the end of 2023 has been approved. The program will continue to put funds towards the COVID-19 relief funds to help provide produce boxes to food pantries. The program was established in 2020, setting up a contract with Denton Creek Farm, who has put together 25-pound crates that are sent off to food pantries for distribution. The farm will make 2,000 to 3,000 boxes per week, priced at $37 per box. In the contract, the county commits the relief funds to paying for these boxes, which are currently adding up to several millions of dollars.
You know, Chris, I love Texas, but I do hate its crazy weather. This morning was cold, and I bet the rest of the week is going to be hot.
You know the weather can always be moody in Texas, but thankfully Peter Rabel has a lot more to talk to us about.
Thanks again, guys. Just starting out right away, if we look up in the northeast, we're seeing, as usual, it's a little bit cooler up there. Paris is about 55, same as Sherman. As we head closer into the Metroplex, though, it's warming up a little bit. We got high 60s in Dallas and Fort Worth. And in Denton, it's a little lower at 65 still. It's kind of just that cool pocket right next to all of the lakes. And of course, as we look over in West Texas, as usual, also it is warmer with 70s, low 70s in Stephenville and Graham. If we zoom out, though, to our larger region, we will see that the temperatures vary a lot more than usual. We got 63 in Oklahoma City. We got 71 in Abilene over there in West Texas, but 68 in El Paso. It's a little cooler right at the very edge. And then, of course, in our southeast corner over here, it is 71 in Houston, 68 in Shreveport. And then looking ahead at our 7-day forecast, you'll see we've got pretty good temperatures coming up here. It's going to be 71 with a low 79 tomorrow. It'll be looking like rain by the end of the day, probably about 11 o'clock. That's going to roll in the evening. And then raining pretty much all day on Friday. We'll see only up to 60 degrees, low of 54, so it'll stay about the same temperatures. And then on Saturday, that rain will finish up, but it'll stay pretty low. And then as we come into the new week on Sunday, moving to Wednesday, it's going to start warming up a little bit. We'll get all the way up to 75 on Wednesday before the end of the week. That's all I have for you guys for the weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you so much, Peter. Multiple brands are dropping Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, following anti-Semitic comments from the billionaire rapper. The latest groups to drop Ye include Gap, Foot Locker, and now Adidas. The sportswear giant cuts its connection with West after he tweeted anti-Semitic comments and will cost West about $1.5 billion of his net worth and cost Adidas $250 million. Both Gap and Foot Locker have shared feelings about Adidas' comments about not tolerating the rapper's hate speech and are removing Yeezy products from their stores and websites.
There's a new app at the top of the App Store rankings, and guess what? It isn't TikTok or Be Real. It's called Gas, and nope, it's not gasoline. The app is all about anonymously complimenting your friends, or as our generation calls it, gassing someone up, by syncing up our location and contacts with Gas. Users are able to participate in hourly polls to vote on their friends, anything from giving each other nicknames or secret confessions. Users can win polls, which gets a flame sent to their account. Gas company says that by using pre-made polls and no direct messaging, the platform is, quote, a place that makes us feel better about ourselves. The app is currently live in 12 U.S. states and plans to go nationwide soon.
Big news came about for comic book fans just yesterday as DC announced that James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy movies, as well as DC's own The Suicide Squad, will be stepping up for the company. Rick Dimlaga has your Hollywood Minute.
It's got to be me. I've got to do this. James Gunn powers up DC. Warner Brothers has announced the director known for his Marvel Cinematic Universe movies with Disney is joining Warner's as co-chairman and chief executive officer of DC Studios, overseeing filmed entertainment alongside Peter Safran, known for his work producing the Conjuring movieverse.
I just saw on the calendar that right now on Earth it's almost Christmas time.
More from James Gunn as Disney Plus unveils the trailer for the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Gunn wrote and directed the Yuletide adventures of Marvel's Misfit Heroes, which brings Kevin Bacon into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, playing Kevin Bacon. Yes, you heard that right. The festivities begin streaming November 25th on Disney Plus. And in non-James Gunn news, Imagine Dragons have released a new version of Bones just in time for Halloween. The new spin on the Dragon song was remixed by the electronic duo Two Colors and is accompanied by a black and white version of the song's zombified music video. Doing the Monster Mash in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
DC fans have some more good news as this past weekend, the movie Black Adam has broken the box office as it came out on top for the release of this past weekend.
Halloween is right around the corner, and I still have yet to find my Halloween costume. But we do have some tips to share with you to make sure you enjoy your night of trick-or-treating. This coming up after the break.
And everyone loves baby animals, but have you ever seen a baby beaver? Well, if you stick around at the end of the show, we will share with you the cutest animal you have ever seen. See you after the break.
near Sanctus Spiritus.
I've got a good feeling about this one.
Hey, Maddie, miss me?
Wait, Bud?
What was that all about?
An old friend.
An old friend?
Good to see you, brother.
What the hell are you doing?
That's your lucky day.
Welcome back to ntTV News at noon.
Thank you so much for sticking with us. Efforts to evict an alligator from a Florida resident's home escalated to immense suffering from a bite to his arm yesterday. Michael Hudak has more information on this bizarre occurrence.
Let me tell you what the moral of this story is.
Yeah, at first I kind of freaked because I didn't know what to do.
For the love of all that is good, double check under your cars.
Stay away. They're gonna get you.
But that's just where the story ends.
I'm here just moving out of my house and there's a gator in the carport.
Aja Dickerson is where it begins.
I called 911.
All she wanted was a normal Tuesday morning.
Still blood there. Blood splatter.
There's blood splatter?
Yeah.
Okay. And all she got was a gator out front.
He was underneath a U-Haul truck in a carport.
This invader gator was blatantly trespassing on private property.
It was intense.
So Aja made a quick decision. She went and got a neighbor who she knew would have the right tools.
He's a dog trainer, so he came out with like gloves and a sweatshirt. Like he kind of knew what he was doing, but that gator was fast. He moved too fast. It just didn't go well.
It was a very athletic gator.
Yes.
The athletic gator then became an angry gator and latched onto the guy's arm.
Someone had a broomstick and they used the broomstick to help pry open the gator's mouth so he could get his arm out.
I mean, I couldn't believe some of this, so I called FWC. They confirmed that the man tried to remove the alligator himself and sustained injuries to his arm, and the trespassing gator was relocated.
I was like, oh my God, are you okay?
How does Aja feel now that it's gone?
He never really did anything. He would just hang out, really. So, I mean, it's kind of sad.
Because she is not and will never be a gator hater.
He was like the neighborhood pet.
Listen to me right now. Do not, under zero circumstances, keep a wild alligator as a neighborhood pet. Number 2, do not call 911 if you see an alligator in your driveway or anywhere where it is a nuisance. Call the FWC hotline, 866-392-4286. And number 3, don't try to catch the gator yourself.
Thankfully, alligator bites are rare in Florida. Stay safe out there.
It's getting a little chilly outside, Leslie.
Yeah, and a lot of people are getting sick too. Let's check in with our reporter Aisha to see what she has for our Your Health segment. Aisha?
Well, you're right, guys. Many are being affected by the weather changes here in Texas, especially children. Check it out.
RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus, are on the rise. While recently the virus has been common amongst children, JPS registered nurse Bernice Breckenridge says adults are at risk too, killing about 14,000 a year within the U.S.
As an adult, you can have RSV and you just think you have a common cold and you go around a smaller child and give it to them and it becomes more severe in that case.
RSV is a completely different virus from COVID-19. However, you might notice some of the same symptoms like cough, sore throat, congestion, and more. As you can see here from this chart, COVID-19 has more severe symptoms like diarrhea, vomiting, and loss of taste or smell.
Hand washing is one of the biggest tools that the CDC recommends that we use, and that's why you see it among children, especially in daycares, because they don't, they touch their nose or they touch their mouth and then they touch a toy.
While the different symptoms may be overwhelming, have no fear, for there are ways to prevent the spread of RSV and other diseases.
They treat it with, rest, of course, fluids, And if if the child has a severe case, they will give them medications, antivirals, and stuff like that.
For ntTV News, I'm Asia Alcorn.
If you or your child start to develop symptoms of RSV, schedule a doctor's appointment to help prevent them from worsening. That's all I have for your health this week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Asia. Now I'd like to talk about something very important to me, National Pumpkin Day. Pumpkins are the plants of Halloween and even fall in general. We use them in decorations and we use them to make the best kind of pies. We put pumpkin in coffee, we use it as a spice, we bake them in cookies and cakes and foods that are nice. The orange squash is nutritious too. It can boost your immune system and help fend off against seasonal illnesses. You can feed pumpkin to your favorite pets too, or maybe just all of your pets. Pumpkins are natural. There's the squash that comes from the ground right here in North America. So whether you eat them as seeds or eat them whole, just remember, pumpkins are the staple of the fall season.
With Halloween around the corner, here are some tips to turn what could be a trick for parents to a treat for all parties involved. When taking young kids out to trick-or-treating, it is recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics to go early while there's still light out so you can stick to your child's regular bedtime. They also recommend keeping an eye out for anxieties about the holiday. Kids need to know the scary stuff is all pretended. Talking to your toddler before heading out would help ease anxiety. Keep a costume that is not too long or bulky and stay with your child at all times. And lastly, watch for any treats that can be dangerous. We hope you all have a fun and safe trick-or-treating next week.
You know, Leslie, Halloween is just one of my favorite holidays, and you get to be creative. Eat candy, dress up, and have fun all in one day.
You know, Chris, I agree with you, but you know what else is fun? Sports. So let's head out with our anchor, Jasmine, to see what happened this week in the sports world. Jasmine?
After the break, we'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys and a heartwarming gesture done by a different NFL team. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Dak is back. The Dallas Cowboys got another win this past Sunday, beating the Detroit Lions 24-6. The defense helped tremendously, just like they have all season, forcing 5 turnovers. Trayvon Diggs got Dallas one of those turnovers with an amazing interception where he turned his body mid-air to catch the ball. That turnover led to a score by Ezekiel Elliott, giving the Cowboys the lead and a huge amount of momentum for the rest of the game. Dak Prescott had 207 passing yards and is slowly but surely getting back into his rhythm after missing the past 5 weeks due to a right thumb fracture. The Cowboys are taking on the Chicago Bears this Sunday at home at AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys hope to improve their record to 6-2. The Seattle Seahawks are doing their part to help kids in need stay warm this winter. The NFL team provided shoes, coats, gloves, and hats to kids in need at Seattle's Beverly Park Elementary School. They also gave out books, snacks, and supplies. The visit included Seahawks dancers as well as Blitz the mascot. It was truly a team effort. The Seahawks joined forces with Amazon and the national nonprofit organization Operation Warm for the initiative. The school's principal emphasized how important this is for the kids. She also noted it was the first all-school assembly since the COVID-19 shutdowns. More than 400 kids received important items for the winter. Well, that's all I have for today for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Beavers. They build dams as shelters against lakes and rivers that they call home. But what happens when a beaver builds their dam on dry land? CNN's John Muse has the story.
If you want a dam in your doorway, might as well just
leave it to Beaver.
This beaver named Nibby, an orphan living at the Newhouse Wildlife Rescue Center in Massachusetts, where she doesn't get along with another female beaver named Zeeby. So when Zeeby was moved to another enclosure, Nibby became a busy beaver.
Tell me about the dam video.
I'll tell you about the dam.
Rescue Center founder Jane Newhouse says as soon as Zeeby left the rehab room, Nibby instantly began damming up the door through which her nemesis had departed. She went back for a stick she'd dropped, and when she got the foundation laid, she left with a spring in her step that captivated the internet. The hippity hop is rare enough that biologists contacted Jane.
They asked if I had raised Nibby maybe with a rabbit or some kind of animal that hops a lot.
Nope, that's just something Nibby does when she's excited. As for the dam building, that's instinctual behavior for baby beavers, even without parental instruction.
It's so ingrained in them, they'll take anything.
Toys, blankets, whatever. During our interview, Nibby occasionally bumped the camera.
And
And the 5-month-old
Nibby from being meat. Sorry.
Had to be restrained when she attacked the door.
Chewing on the door.
She is more inspired to build dams when she hears rain or when a faucet is running. Jane turned one on.
Oh, she's hopping.
But Nibby is hopping mad at Zeeby, and this is one baby beaver who really gives a damn. Ginny Mose, CNN.
She is very mad about it.
News at noon.
Join us again tomorrow here at North Texas Television.